To the third, and unless something really funky happens, final game between Alternate and London Conspiracy. Once again, I've got Scant with me on Llama Down Under. Probably not expecting to see the Skywrath again.
Dire team pick.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what could have happened such that we have more than 3 games in a best of 3.
Hey,
Um,
service crashed. That happened the other day, and they had to restart in one of the
oh,
open
okay.
qualifiers.
I was thinking more like, is there a hero that like has an ability which interacts with the game in a way that like resets the game?
Oh.
Or I guess yeah.
I think because there's no reload yet in Reborn, so like a lot of the
10
tournaments,
seconds remaining.
the like official rule is if the server crashes, you just have to restart the whole
5
match.
seconds remaining.
So
Wow. Well, hopefully that won't happen in this match.
Reserve time.
London Conspiracy start off the draft with an Invoker, so this time letting it through, but
Dire
acknowledging
team
the strength of Supreme's Invoker. Even though they did win against it, I think they'll recognize that it
Radiant
was really
team
good
pick.
and they'll pick it for themselves this time. And I'm sure the Twitch chat at least will be, all the fans betting on London Conspiracy will be a lot happier to see a mid Invoker than a mid Skyrath mage, that's for sure. Like much more standard
Radiant
pick.
team ban.
among other things, certainly better at scaling. So, with that, London Conspiracy will have themselves a pretty dang solid opening. Lion also another really solid hero all around. I think
10 seconds remaining.
Alternate though very comfortable with the Earth Spirit Beastmaster. I mean,
5 seconds remaining.
the vision advantage the Beastmaster gives you and that we saw last game, that's hard to argue with.
Reserve time.
Yeah, and Beastmaster is just a ridiculously good hero. Have like, I want to have all the Beastmasters won tonight. Am I right about that?
I'm not
think-
100% sure.
I think they might
Dire
have.
team
I want to
back.
check. I'm gonna check quickly.
It's been 6 long games. We were not. I was actually worried we'd be overtime because when normally matches are 3 hours apart, we definitely went over that, and yeah, we ended up making it work. But it's gonna be the Sven ban out. So okay, I like this. I like the Sven ban out. The team's saying I'm gonna save ourselves from our own folly. Let's get rid of the Sven. Neither of us are gonna pick it up. Neither of us are gonna lose because of that.
Yep. So not gonna have a Sven, and I'm just checking. No, there was a Beastmaster that lost actually. I think it was the. I think Beastmaster's 3-1 tonight because it was the
10
first game
seconds
of the
remaining.
previous series. This feels like a totally different day of the week to me, but game 1
5
at Finimus
seconds
Fantastic
remaining.
5 actually, Fantastic 5 at the Beastmaster, and that was the game where they had sort of an all-in-ish. That was the game where the Sven
Reserve
worked really
time.
well and
Yeah.
just like totally destroyed.
I mean, come on, Scant. It's only been 7 hours of Dota. It's like not even a whole day's work. Come on.
Dire team ban.
Yeah, I mean, I was having. Yeah, it's actually. Let's not get into that. Beastmaster's picked. Beastmaster's a really good hero. Like, I think it's all stages of the game. Scales very well. Very difficult to deal with in lane. Can punish the safe lane. Has a timing that when it hits it can sometimes just explode into a push.
10 seconds
Helps you to
remaining.
rush. It's a fantastically strong hero right now.
Dire
I think it
team
was
pick.
introduced to the current competitive meta by
Radiant
Belba
team
actually,
pick.
which is worth saying because there's this meme about how Belba invents everything, and I think this is something that he actually did invent, or at least like now in this patch made it popular. Just the influence that it has on the game is absurd, and also do go back for the Oracle in combination with that.
Do you think this
So-
is indicating that they might try to get something like the Death Prophet, or is this just an oracle saying, hey, Beastmaster really didn't
10
enjoy being
seconds
against you
remaining.
last game?
Could be either of those
5
things.
seconds
Could be a bit of
remaining.
both. I'm not totally sure. I think it
Reserve
might be
time.
the former though. I think also it might want to go for a like straightforward plan for pushing the high
Dire
ground this
team
game.
pick.
I think after the 2 games that they just had, they if I'm alternate, I want a game where if we're ahead, there's like an easy way for us to just finish the game. And to do that, you do need one of those like natural high grounding heroes. Well, speaking of natural high grounding heroes, Lana Conspiracy go back for the Chaos Knights, and it's quite nice to have it in this position where both the supports the enemy team are picked. Neither of them really counter you that well. The Earth Spirit sometimes the AoE can be effective against the
10
Chaos Knight,
seconds
but
remaining.
later on into the game doesn't really do the trick. And that
5
puts Alternate in an
seconds
awkward
remaining.
position because Sven's already out. Uh, there's you could pick
Reserve
AoE cores. You can
time.
still pick stuff like Ember Spirit, but that's not gonna help with what you're trying to do with the rest of your heroes. Instead of like in terms of like the group up we're talking about, the other approach to dealing with CK is just to to like sort of try and win the game before he gets out of reach, before you get to the point where you're like, wow, we can't even kill CK illusions.
Yeah, it's also okay, they're picking up the Zeus. This is always a fun, nice pickup.
It's brilliant against CK. It's maybe the best hero against CK. It's got so much spam to deal with the main hero, the images, the way you build CK, you buy so much strength and a static field with like each time you cast those spells. It's a really, really good pickup here actually for that particular matchup, but I actually think that Invoke is one of the worst
10
matchups for
seconds
Zeus. Like
yes.
normally we say how Zeus's do like okay against anything mid, they just spam arcs from
5
far away, but
seconds remaining.
Invoker from quite early on, especially if it's an X-Sword Invoker, can often deny quite a lot of creeps against Zeus before they get in range of the last hit arc damage.
It's pretty well known that a lot of the mid laners, like a lot of competitive pro mid laners, have talked about how their like least favorite matchup is they don't like playing Zeus into Invoker, even as fun and powerful.
Yeah,
Zeus
it's like
can
you
be.
find
It's just
with
not
Zeus.
great.
Yeah, you find with Zeus in almost any matchup. People don't like Zeus versus Quap or OD or Invoker. I think that's about it. There's like maybe the Viper sometimes, but recently I've just seen lots of Invokers like destroying Zeus's in terms of their last hits just because of all the denies that come early on. Well, Lana Conspiracy now pick up the Enchantress, which is, I mean, in terms of being able to burst it down, again, the Zeus is going to be good against it, but if we just look to the lane stage,
5 seconds
the
remaining.
plan to deal with an Enchantress is quite lacking, I would say, for Team Alternate so far. This is probably just going to be an offlane Enchantress. And you really push, it's actually really nice drafting by Solon, because you really push Alternate into a bit of a, like, you kind of pigeonhole them where they feel like they need a carry that's going to do well against the CK, and also one that could do well against the Enchantress in lane. Difficult to think of what that hero is.
Now, I think that on the very least there is some burst damage
10
for this
seconds
Enchantress coming
remaining.
out of alternate, and they've got. Yes, Beastmaster wants to be right clicking you
5
as well, but he
seconds
certainly has a
remaining.
couple of things that don't care about Untouchable too much with the axes. But
Dire
for
team
alternate, they need. I don't know, it does feel like they maybe want some more burst. Either way, it's their turn to pick. There's going to be no global Spectre business going down.
Yeah, it's super interesting they ban the Spectre, because obviously they're respecting the Zeus Spectre combo, but if Spectre was the pick, I think Enchantress's lane would go really, really well, if this is offlane Enchantress, because Oracle's got some burst damage, but I don't think it's enough on its own to deal with Enchantress. Maybe
10
I'm
seconds
wrong about this, but
remaining.
yeah, okay. They picked the Gyrocopter, and that's now
Radiant
they have a
team
combination which
picked.
could absolutely punish offlane Enchantress if that's what they need to do. And that might move Lana Conspiracy to push the Enchantress into the jungle and make it a roamer, because they know that enemy team's running the roaming Earth Spirit anyway.
I really like it too, but I just really like the Gyrocopter pickup in general, right? Also has Flat Cannon, some way to try and help deal with the Chaos Knight illusions. The only downside, of course, is, as you mentioned, this
10
could be
seconds
support
remaining.
Enchantress, and
I mean, alternate banned Brood, so they
5
already considered the
seconds
possibility of
remaining.
it being support
Okay.
Enchantress.
well, yeah, they're on board. I was just
Reserve
gonna
Yeah.
say it feels like they could have maybe gone with something greedier if it were a support Enchantress, but you know, this options are limited. There's still the Doxia. If it could also be pick up another support. I think offlane Enchantress is great, but it is going to be the Doxia again for Kefka.
Yeah, and Doxia is a really nice sort of fight-winning, potentially game-winning hero. Gonna be fine in that lane. Well, I say that, and now this is Oracle's thing, right? This is when Oracle first became a thing, and this is the one thing that still definitely is a thing for Oracle is offlane Doxias don't do well against Doxia. Like offlane Doxias don't do well against Doxia against Oracle. Is what I mean.
Obviously, because you
'Cause-
can now purge off the Ion Shell.
and the Surge, so you can. I mean, you just counter everything about the Doxia. Usually in this matchup, Doxias go straight to the jungle, but they've already got Enchantress there, so I don't know.
You try to dodge.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be the plan. I think CK and Lion with
10
Enchantress
seconds
aggressive
remaining.
jungling could actually work as an aggressive tri lane.
5 seconds
You're still
remaining.
fighting against a Gyrocopter, which is never ideal as a sort of a 3v3, but they'd definitely be happy for their Darkseid to be 1v1 against the Beastmaster.
Yeah.
But no, he started with the Soaring recipe, so he's going to the off lane, and
Prepare
very interesting
for
to see
battle.
how he deals with the Oracle in this matchup, because
Grace
I've
to you.
many times seen a Darkseid go into this lane and just be chased out at level 1 and forced to go to the jungle.
Yeah, we'll see if Kefka knows something we don't. We'll find out. Maybe he got some other tricks up his sleeve. Maybe he expects them to dodge or something silly, but it's not looking like it. Gyrocopter headed up top. It's not the easiest of things for Gyrocopter to be against the Doxy, but of course with the Oracle there to get rid of the Ion Shell constantly, even despite his small range, he shouldn't be worried.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe Doxy just tries to do the double wave thing at the start where he Iron Shells 2 creeps in a row on the first wave. It could get something going, put some pressure on the tower, screw up the equilibrium. Or he could just start immediately in the jungle, like, just a bit awkward if you have an Enchantress and a Doxy both starting in the jungle.
Definitely
Looks like they're considering swapping up the lanes. With the Doxy coming all the way down here, it looks like they might end up going the other way, I'm not sure. Or he just knows he can't do anything at the beginning of the lane stage anyway, so join the team in case there's a fight.
Now, I'm definitely interested to see exactly how Kefka tries to deal with this, or if at all. Maybe he just expects it to be a really bad lane, and the rest of the team is just gonna say, hey, let's put pressure elsewhere, try to alleviate some of that off of Kefka. So. Also, Baby Knight has already begun with Quas. Oh, and they're already rolling in onto him! Goodness gracious, L wants to get the action done early, just smacking away at Baby Knight, even eating a tree himself so that he can continue playing with Baby Knight here. Already Baby Knight's at half health.
Yeah, and this is also interesting because starting with Quas probably suggests Quas Wex. You tend to start with Exort if you're doing Quas Exort. And if he's not going to be an Exort invoker...
Oh my goodness, the roll-in again from L. I don't believe they can transition this into a kill, but this is certainly going to make Supreme's lane a little bit better. The Cold Snap comes out. Alternate just needs to get one more Q off onto him. L taking a bit of tower damage. Now the Q won't be enough. They need the auto attacks, but who will go down first? Supreme is the first to die. They'll get the kill onto L as well. And suddenly, Steph sitting there with 500 gold on level 2.
Yeah, I think that Baby Knight is probably fine with that trade though. And I think he got through 2 very fast there, so it worked out quite well for him, the timing of it, and the dive is quite early. What I wanted to say is Quasworks Invoker might actually dominate the Zeus in lane slightly less, I'm not sure. But when I've seen the Invoker dominating the Zeus, it's usually just for the really high damage, like deny the creeps before Zeus can...
Oh, we have a roll-in onto bottom lane. Dudeness L has no chill. They're going to manage to get the kill on the Lion. Jalopy just like, okay, I gotta farm. But he may be in a bit of trouble now that Orb of Venom slowing him down. They kick a rock on through him. There are going to be no mana for axes, actually. So they will be up in 4 or so, but not quite going to work. And now the Enchantress coming in. Jalopy eats his mango. Going to go on to this Beast Monster who now has a Wild Wing Ripper also helping to damage him down. Eats the fairy fire. That tornado, it's coming closer and closer. He pops his salve. He's gonna go for the walk away, but unfortunately Nisha should go down here.
So kills being traded everywhere, left, right, and center. Meantime, in that top lane, Dox is actually not doing too badly at all. They're gonna go for a kill here though, and this
Oh, not enough.
doesn't quite do it. But he's nearly gone to level 3 already, Kefka, so... I mean, unfortunately the fighting was happening everywhere else, so that's not what we were watching early on, but... Managed to do fine up till now, and if he has to go to the jungle soon now, it won't even matter that much. Like, usually level 3 is an okay time to do that.
I think, as well, looking in this mid lane, Zeus actually, of course, he's going to have no denies. There's no way Zeus should have any of those. But he actually has 10 CS. He hasn't been forced out, and you're not wrong. I definitely think, though, with Zeus, it's still scary to be up against a Quaswex Invoker because you don't have any escape. Your positioning is so key, and yes, you can spam Q from a ways away, but that's really your only option. You get caught out by one tornado and you're dead.
Yeah, the Quaswex Invoker is better at killing you, probably in lane, but it doesn't, like, passively just out-deny all the creeps. Like, you can get lots of last hits against it.
And actually, quite a bit of harass.
Like, from this Enchantress around, but, nearly ran straight into Earth Spirits.
Yeah, and oh yeah, I don't think Kefka actually wanted to go down there, but you know, he was only level 3, it's efficiency. It's a trip home.
Enchantress still waiting at that mid lane, but here's Earth Spirits, just fully aware of the threat.
Yeah, there we go. There's gonna be the tornado out onto the Zeus. Where is the net from the troll creep? Also an EMP coming out. Baby Knight trying to do a lot of damage here. Lion coming from behind the tower. And Earth Spirit. Oh, we've actually got a nice little stun up onto the Oracle who came in to save. Alternate bleeding kills everywhere.
You know what's funny? I almost think that the Earth Spirit being there covering the Zeus is what caused the Zeus to die. I think if your Zeus is like standing more defensively, like towards the right side of the like over here, where I'm drawing in the mid lane, then it's very, very hard for them to make the kill. But with Earth Spirit nearby, Zeus feels more comfortable going forward into the middle of the way, and Earth Spirit wasn't enough actually to save him.
Yeah, looking in mid, actually, speaking of not being enough to save him, Supreme taking quite a bit of damage. Gotta just get the last hit while at the same time the Chaos Knight goes down in bottom lane. There is no chill. We are already at 2 kills a minute. So.
Yeah, lots of fun for everyone. Oracle returns to the top lane. We'll see it yet another round of Oracle versus Darkseer, but at this point I feel like the Darkseer's, gotten the value and dispelled whatever myth there is, apparently, that Oracle does anything against Darkseer, because it seems to have worked out just fine for Kefka this game.
I mean, I think a number of other factors. We've got to go on to Nisha on the bottom lane. Again, the stun coming out from Solon. He still has that Hex. Nisha needs some help, but they're going to try to turn it around onto Solon. They'll bring him down before Nisha, and Nisha's not even dead yet. He's just going to be able to walk it off that orb, but Venom doing good work onto Jalopy, who really wanted to find the stun onto Nisha, but unable to, and now the double ball is slowing him down, while at the same time Zeus falls in mid. There's just nowhere we can look here. Okay, the only lane we don't need to worry about is top, because nobody's dying up there.
Yeah, but if we look at the, which heroes are dying, I think that the most important factor about this early game is that Zeus is dying all the time, like really being a bit shut down, and it feels like the one hero that needs to not be dying a lot that is dying all the time.
Yeah.
So it's something they need to do something about, but one of the times that Zeus got ganked, Earthspirit was even standing right there and didn't manage to do much about it, so not sure what their response is to this Enchantress.
Well, she is going to come back in again. They kick a rock on through, tries to roll away, but it fails completely there due to the cold snap, and now L will fall as well. 7-5, a slight lead coming out there for London Conspiracy, and Zeus, they are just going for it. He's going to get slowed up. He needs TP rotations, but on the other side, the Lion coming through with the stun, and this is more than enough damage. Oracle, all he can do is Fortune's End, and it does nothing to Baby Knight there. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we're going to have a little reality rift from Jalopy, while Beastmaster just tries to walk it off. They were trying to get the rest of the supports in range to kill off Nisha. But no such luck. Earth Spirit actually TP's in, hoping maybe to make something happen, but it's not easy here.
Yeah, so alternates are the ones finding themselves under the most pressure as this game gets off, and that's kind of different for this series. I want to say that in both the first 2 games, we had a pretty convincing lead for alternate early on.
There's gonna be the reality rift onto Nisha. They're waiting for the stun out. The rock kicks on through onto Jalopy. They roll onto him, but Steph Style is here. Everybody's silenced up, but the auto attacks may be more than enough. Nisha does go down to the clap. Jalopy will fall though, so at least that's something, but of course Supreme, low on mana, not able to drop that ult or anything else, and while this is happening, we haven't talked too much about it. Supreme 5th on the net worth, Baby Knight top. We knew he was behind, but obviously, Baby Knight is way ahead.
Yeah, so this game we're going to see what Baby Knight's Crossworks Invoker is made of, and this is like a pretty good start, almost a dream start for Crossworks Invoker, and definitely able to control the tempo going forward, and we might see him all over the map, just like part of kills left, right, and center, and keeping Alternate from coming back into the game.
There's gonna be another tornado onto Zeus. He needs support, but there's no one here. Lion gonna go for the stun up the cliff, and that helps. Gets the kill there. And Earth Spirit, you can TP in, but you have nothing.
Yeah, it's just a case of too little too late. When it comes to Supreme, I mean 0-5 on the mid laner at under 8 minutes. It's really, like, typically games are lost on less. Like the mid lane is very, very important in the current meta, and when the enemy mid is doing so well and your mid is doing so poorly, things start to add up, and just the amount of control that Invoker can create on the map is also more than a Zeus, even if the Zeus was doing it as well.
It's also problematic because, of course, while the Darkseer should have been shut down earlier, it's impossible to shut down a Darkseer when you constantly have to rotate your supports to help your mid.
And by the way, Exotic Deers decided that boots are overrated this game too. It was him in the slot last game as well, wasn't it? So it took a while to buy boots.
I think both games just understanding that he really needed to get a lot of farm, and so I think rushing the Helm of the Dominator to grab a creep, but I could be wrong. Maybe he just doesn't like boots. He's already begun stacking though.
Radiant's
Yeah, I just
bottom
if he had to
tower
get
is under
dived on the
attack.
tower here, like not having boots could definitely be deadly, but
Dire's top tower
they
is
end up
under
pulling
attack.
out and going back to the bot lane.
And Exotic Deer has decent move speed anyway. There is going to be a little bit of an engagement. Zeus ulti, finally he's getting something here on Supreme. Maybe even a secondary kill. Those two just did worlds for his KDA, and if they can turn this into a bit of a push on the bottom lane as well, they can maybe
Dire's middle tower
help
is
salvage
under attack.
some of what this Invoker's done to their mid lane.
Yeah, it's very big for alternate actually. In fact, the Doxia and the two supports wanted to kill the Gyro. Doxia TP's bots and just like dies with the Chaos Knights, and that is something we haven't talked about as much. The Chaos Knight is pretty far behind. It is a hero that actually really struggles to flash farm and like keep up the farm. Often we've seen CKs go back for Midas exactly for that reason, and Zeus is a hero that's going to recover a bit better. So sure, their mid Zeus is struggling, but the enemy team safe lane CK is also really struggling. Actually, less farm than the Zeus, and that could
Dire's
end up being a
bottom
bigger
tower is
factor.
under
Like
attack.
maybe alternates are actually fine.
So, Beastmaster, he is doing good work. Not as fantastic start as last game, but he's going to have a pretty good timing on those Necro books while in mid. We got Zeus and L just hiding behind the tower. Trying to keep
I mean,
Supreme alive.
Beastmaster had two supports helping him last game. I think it's it's reasonable to do a little bit worse when you're all on your own.
Oh no!
Middle tower is
Okay,
under
that was cancelled. Supreme gonna pop that invis and be A-okay. While Nisha continues to just sit down bottom. He's definitely working away at this tower. It's a really key tower for them to have down. As the Dire. Did I just hear... Nope, I thought I heard a casual tornado.
Zeus is invis scouting enemy jungle. He's got a smoked Earth Spirit with him, and
Dire's middle tower
they're hoping to
is
find
under
something
attack.
here.
Unfortunately,
they
there are
might
5
find-
heroes in
Or
mid.
fortified.
Yeah. I was gonna say they might find more than what they were hoping for, and it's really good for Lana Conspiracy to be converting into towers, and they need to be getting like value out of the Invoker. He's probably going back for that Midas now. He can be setting the pace of the game, and the more I think about the Zeus and the CK being behind, I definitely think it's a bigger deal for CK to be behind than it is for Zeus to be behind. Zeus can catch up more easily, and Zeus also doesn't depend as much on items as Chaos Knight does.
Although Zeus does still have the big problem of a lack of levels. You know, he's almost 2 behind the Invoker. That is what he cares about. And I don't think he has a good way to catch up other than be involved in kills. He can try to, like, flash farm the jungle with Q.
He can farm, I mean, he can push out waves really quickly as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's Zeus is not too bad at farming his way back in, whereas Chaos Knight really needs to have that farm from the lane, and then after that it's, you know, your farm rates is only so fast.
Back in other news, we've gotten back to the farming portion of the game. Everybody content to wait a little bit. I mean, no reason to force action if it's not going to be favorable. The Gyrocopter has finished up full treads, just farming the jungle in between farming the lane, and he's not quite where the Invoker is, but he's starting to catch up. Not starting.
Yeah, and he's
but
still gonna be
catching
able
up.
to. He's still gonna be able to clear a stack, so he'll get pretty big when that happens. Interesting to see if Baby Knight's actually trying to make anything happen up here.
Yeah, he's
Stop
trying
him,
to get his motor on. He's going to begin with the cold snap. There will be a big EMP, but with no other follow-up, nothing Baby Knight can do.
That's still nice, burn a whole lot of mana, force the wand usage, and can pull back.
Scare
Being
him a
able to
little
pressure
bit.
the enemy safe lane alone, very valuable.
Jalopy, I'm assuming, going for the drums here. We'll see if they can transition that into a push. I'm a little surprised we don't see a tower trade happening right now, but Jalopy just preferring to farm up the jungle. Supreme is sitting around bottom, probably going to grab a Yule's up to try and help himself deal a bit with the Invoker. While I feel like on the courier we must have Necronomicons. Yes. It's been a while, Nisha. Where are they?
Yeah, it's gonna be a Necro one coming up. There's the Invoker going back for the Midas, the typical build we've been coming to see, and there's definitely gonna be a clash here at the bot lane. Team's
Yeah.
committing quite a lot of heroes.
This Hawk is fantastic. It's giving them so much vision. You can see that the Dire know exactly where the Radiant are, while the Radiant are struggling to find the Dire. Nisha will be caught out here by the net. Oh, an EMP coming out. Nisha, he can't get his Primal Roar off, and he will go down. Unable to do anything there. Oracle in the path of that tornado as well. A few auto attacks. That one impetus hit will bring her down, and unfortunately, Elle knowing better than to try and fight.
It's very sloppy from Alternate because I feel like
Radiant's
the
middle
Zeus
tower
TP'd out,
is
and
under
as you were saying,
attack.
they had vision, they saw it was coming, and they just
Dire's
get
bottom
caught
tower
anyway, and
is
maybe
under
just
attack.
underestimating the
Dire's
initiation
structures
range and
are
move speed of the
fortified.
Invoker.
Yeah, that'll happen. So, there is going to be a tower push, not exactly the one. I thought they were going to try to get top and maybe trade mid or something for alternate, but instead, Supreme's headed up top. He's almost level 9. Obviously, level 11 gets a big boost in damage, but also good for him to be finding anywhere to farm while bottom tower does end up falling to Invoker, and it looks like, yeah, drums on the way.
Yeah,
L
so
actually stayed behind this whole time. Maybe they're going to try to pick up a straggler.
got his level 6. He's in a pretty nice position actually to set up if his team does come back in and take a fight.
Dire's middle
They've got
tower
the Zeus
is under
ulti from
attack.
across the map too.
Oh yeah, he's going for it. He knows, but unfortunately they know as well. And so, L, you're gonna have a really rough time trying to find anything. And all of that waiting for nothing. So,
Yeah, well, Bambi Knights is looking to wander towards the
Dire's
enemy
middle tower
jungle,
is under
or
attack.
maybe just down towards the bot lane. Like this is the player to watch at the moment. Invoker's definitely got the power to set the tempo, and he's gonna go straight onto Zeus.
Dire's top
yeah,
tower
he's
is
trying to
under
do that while the finger comes out. They're gonna kill off L. They're also losing their poor Oracle, who's gonna probably burn down to the... Oh, Impetus isn't gonna be able to get the kill here. Oh, I think you fall though. I don't believe she'll be in the fountain for long enough. Exotic Deer finding nothing. Will you live, Oracle? Oh, double heal. Fountain heal, saving her life. His life.
Yep.
But, an
But Zeus
easy-
did die. Someone TP'd in mid, and Baby Knight stopped for a second, and the TP got cancelled. I don't know if it was the Earth Spirit who actually died,
Dire's top
Uh,
tower is under
but the
attack.
TP got cancelled, and so the kill actually did get completed on the Zeus.
An incorrect guess on Nisha's position, but that'll happen. So they do again, pulling ahead 14 to 8, 4k gold lead for the lineup of London Conspiracy, and kind of the first game, not kind of, the first game in this series where they are not behind.
Yeah, and this, in some ways, this might be more jarring for Alternate than the fact that they lost one of the games where they got a big lead, because they've been gotten so used to getting the better of Blind Conspiracy early on that it's like, you know, completely new territory.
Now,
Sure,
something
the
else...
Chaos Knight is, sorry, the Chaos Knight is still very far behind, but
Radiant's middle tower
just
is
this
under
Invoker,
attack.
it's just really they need to answer to this Invoker sooner rather than later.
Now, the Zeus is going for a forced off, so this will try and help their positioning some. They actually have a smoke. They want to pick off the docks here, but that's a hard ask, even with all of these heroes. They do have cooldown in 5 seconds. So the rock
some
kick
TPs.
on through Primal Roar as well. Kefka, you're dead. So they'll bring him down. Zeus ulti just in case, but there it is. The tornado coming out from Baby Knight. EMP now as well. Exotic Deer has dropped his ult. He's gonna lose all his mana, but a lot of it was already gone since he doesn't have a huge mana pool. And with Zeus's combo down, maybe they can force this tower. Not Zeus, sorry, Invoker.
Yeah, they'll get the tower.
Radiant's top tower has
That's pretty
fallen.
big for them. That's something, you know, putting things back. But, still the game favoring Lino Conspiracy, although not a huge amount. It's like, very much anyone's game. The Beastmaster Necro 3 timing is coming quite soon. Gyrocopter's doing really well in terms of farm, and that's the thing, the Invoker's first in net worth, quite far ahead, but the next 3 all come from alternates. I've talked about the Chaos Knights a lot, but Darkseer also is really far behind where you expect the Darkseer to be, I think. Not that far. I mean, he's got the mech, that's like the first key item, but would expect him to be a little bit further ahead, certainly. The Enchantress is like their second most farmed hero, which is...
Oh, we have an engagement up here. Use Jalopy just helping to murder faces of the Earth Spirit while I'm checking GPMs. And Kefka, this should be a tower push. They are still trying to chase after Nisha. He's gonna try to be tricksy here. Eat his way to some freedom.
Loppy's like, you keep talking about me being unfarmed, but my ulti's still pretty scary and like absolutely tore to shreds the Earth Spirit there. So, I mean, it's not really about, like the thing with Chaos Knight, it's not really about at any stage in the game it being especially item dependent. It's more like to keep the progression going, you have to keep getting things done unless you infiltrate Midas, and I don't know if he's in a position to do it this game. Could go back for it still, I guess. A little bit late though, probably.
Yeah, I think the nice thing as well with London Conspiracy right now, right? They're not huge amounts ahead, but obviously, as we just saw, Chaos Knight, when the ult is up, he can really take a fight. Invoker 2 with his toolkit. They are trying to converge on them. Alternate gonna throw out a tornado, isn't gonna hit on anyone. They've got this stupid ghost creep dominated, and there is going to be a pullback onto one of the boars. Not really going to help them get any closer though. Rock kicked on through. It doesn't look like anything is going to get caught by either team, so... That'll be the end of that.
That's fine for everyone involved. Lots of TPs to other places to farm things. And, Invoker's getting pretty close to Ags, which could be quite big impact the way the game is currently set up. Like, really could be the final step in the sort of I single-handedly dominate what happens in this game situation.
And Enchantress almost already, I mean, not almost, she already has the Dragon Lance. I think it's kind of cute how you can be an support Enchantress and you still basically get to build yourself as a secondary core. When we're talking about right-click damage from Alternate, it is mostly stacked on this Gyrocopter.
Yeah, that's for sure. Which is okay for them, especially considering the fact that the CK is quite far behind, and the Gyro does reasonably well against the CK, and the Zeus does very well against the CK too. And the Zeus is going to do, yeah, as we said before, excellently against the Enchantress. Like, it's like at any Zeus game. I feel like a fight between these two teams, if the Zeus stays alive and casts lots of rounds of spells, this team's probably going to do quite well. If the Zeus dies quite early in the fight, it's going to be difficult. The Gyro is not anywhere close to the point where he carries his team through a fight on his own, I think. The damage is actually still mostly about the Zeus.
The smoke will come out for Alternate. Unfortunately, they have some idea, it feels like, on London Conspiracy. Maybe there was a ping saying we should head on over there. They can't realize there's a smoke, otherwise there's no way Jalopy would be out this far. Oh, Zeus ulti. They're all gonna suddenly back on out. Pretty obvious that there is some sort of gank coming. Jalopy's gonna get rolled in onto, but the blink already out from Solon, buying him some time. He manages to pop his ult. Where is the cooldown? Where is the damage? Exotic Deer has it, but he's holding it. There it goes. Finally the cooldown happens. They'll pick off Jalopy. They'll manage to pick off Steph Style. Tornado, though, should blow up one. Will they find more? Still, a 3-for-1 with how far behind Alternate were is something they'll take home and cash at the bank.
Yep, very good. And again, like I said in the last game, when they kept killing the Sven, it was really big. It's also really big, yeah, each time they kill the Chaos Knight, because I do feel like the Chaos Knight is supposed to perform a very key role in winning the game for London Conspiracy. Obviously, the Invoker's going to be able to do a lot more than their Skywrath Mage did last game, but I don't think that they expect the Invoker to be able to do all the carrying work on his own. I think they do expect the Chaos Knight to get to some key items, to get to the armlet, maybe the Manta Style, even the Heart, and the further that Alternate managed to keep the Chaos Knight down, the bigger chance they have of, you know, just getting in the way of that window ever existing.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it too much, but of course the Chaos Knight sitting at 330 GPM. Doxy is below 300. We're not exactly seeing farmed superstars anywhere across this map, except for maybe the Invoker and the Gyrocopter. So a lot of people just being unable to farm as much as they would like. Exotic Deer going for the BKB next.
Yep, and that's the right approach, because it's, again, I mean, I wanted it to go for BKB a lot earlier in the previous game on Slark, but it's again a similar story where at the point where he gets a BKB in this game, he's gonna be pretty invincible for the next few fights. Like, nothing can touch him. And it might be at that point it'll be like those fights will be determined on, as I said before, like, do you control the Zeus? Because the Zeus's damage output is still very important. You could try and like deal with the Gyrocopter just by not dying to him, but if the fight's happening at all, and your plan for Gyros to just not die to him, you need to also not die to Zeus, and I think for that you need to take him head on. Chaos Knight does finish Armlet finally, so that's, you know, that is the next key component in the CK's artillery, and nearly got Phantasm, so maybe this is the timing where London Conspiracy go for another fight, because fighting around that CK ulti is definitely something they've wanted to do, although, like I said from the start, there actually are a lot of things on Team Alternate to deal with the CK ulti if they're all grouped up and it's a team fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there is a lot of wombo combo, and part of why that bottom fight went so wrong was Baby Knight wasn't really nearby. The rest of the team had kind of backed out while Jalopy was hoping to farm bottom. So haven't talked too much about, I was actually thinking I'm really impressed that there is the blink up on the Lion, since he has been forced to buy a lot of the wards, since that's the like semi-carry Enchantress. It's a really good pickup there. The supports on alternate though are incredibly poor, as you might expect in a game like this. So
Yeah, it's not a huge issue. I mean, neither of those supports are very farm dependent at all. It's more about how their Jara and Zeus are doing, the Beastmasters to some extent, and the cores are actually hitting a really great timing, all three of them at once now, and it's not surprising they go for the smoke.
oh, they go for another pick onto Jalopy. The Lion is already blown up. Jalopy taking a lot of damage, has been magnetized. The cooldown gonna hit on everybody in there. And Baby Knight will walk out of the second blast, but a really nicely executed attack from alternate. And again, they get the better engagement.
Yeah, they're immediately picking out Rush. They could wait and get the tier 2 almost certainly, but they value Rush as the more important target, and that's where they'll go.
And so this should be something they can take. They've got the Necro books out for a little while longer, so it shouldn't be too slow. An Exotic Deer, of course, hits decently. Does he have the full... No. Okay, he just has 2 parts of that BKB. We've got Baby Knight thinking about coming in. He does have quite a bit of good stuff. There is the Tornado gonna end up coming on out. He throws a zoning EMP, and Supreme will get caught a little bit. The stun gets removed. Supreme now getting full stuff around. The false promise comes out immediately. He is taking a lot of damage though. A vacuum onto 3, and now Kefka, he's also taking a lot of damage. Zeus manages to blow him up. He does end up going down to Enchantress. The cooldown zoning them, and Roche only half health. I'm a little surprised they don't finish it, just because a lot of things were blown.
It's actually a very big win from Llama Conspiracy. The Zeus is much more important kill than the Darkseer, and managing to prevent the rush after they lost a big fight, I guess it's just early enough in the game that people's respawns were quick enough that buying that amount of time is enough for them, and the rush killing potential wasn't really that big. It's just like the Beastmaster or a little bit of Necro creeps, which they timed out quite early on, and... Oh, yeah. This Lion could be in big trouble. Is anyone close? Because his blink got disabled by the creep, but okay.
He's fine. We got rock golems fighting heroes, but we could have rock golem wars if they would just come a little bit. Come on, go into that pit. No such luck. Golem is going to go down. We're going to make baby golems who aren't even able to throw their rocks. Only one of them gets off the rock before he's beaten to death by Jalopy, who's happy for the farm. And we have posturing around the Roche pit. Wall and vacuum will be up in about 26 seconds. And we'll see if they can make anything happen now.
Well, there's a nice little DD in there for Chaos Knight. Definitely gonna be happy about that. Could get some nice big crits if fight were to break out, but just gonna go back and farm, I guess. Their top lane's being pushed in, someone pings it out. It's dangerous to farm there. I guess Baby Knight can because he's very mobile. Like, if anyone else was to farm there, it might be an opening for the alternate to go back into Rush.
Yeah, Supreme, he's got up the... I mean, it's not great, but considering the start he had, he was 0 and 5 about 9 minutes in. He has the Aether Lens, he has the Force Staff, he's probably going to work on an Octarine next. I'm just guessing because he did go back for the Mono Boots again after getting the Aether Lens. So he's not ridiculously far behind, and there we go. He does buy up the Soul Booster. So, that's something.
Yeah, I think a Veil could be really nice for the team here too, but I suppose Spread could build into that himself.
Yeah, I think when your Zeus is ahead, you'd be like, bro, hook me up with a Veil. But with him so far behind, you may as well have the Earth Spirit get it. Either way, speaking of behind, they are coming for that Zeus. He is gonna get zapped down, and oof. Enchantress, she hits like a truck. Also, over halfway to that Aghanim Scepter Jalopy, he is looking for more. He knows the Zeus is down, he wants to murder people's faces, but not gonna be able to catch up. And with that, maybe Roshan, London Conspiracy.
Yeah, Zeus is such an important part of the damage output, so I think almost certainly they just get this. Gyrocopter is finally finished BKB, the courier's on the way to deliver it, and might be with that BKB they feel confident to contest, because like I said, the BKB makes him pretty much invincible. So this, actually I think they could go in even without their Zeus. It's a very close situation, and well, Llama Conspiracy decide to back off, feeling that they're not killing the rush fast enough anyway themselves, and that's because, remember, it's a cross-Wax Invoker, so low levels and Exorts don't have great summoning power.
I think also you need to be concerned here about just stuff like the cooldown in the Roche Pit followed up by an Earth Spirit magnetizing all of them. It's not great. Would suck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the Gyrocopter is really scary. They actually have no nice response to deal with Gyrocopter at this point in the game. Like, ideally for them, I don't know, both the Zeus and the Gyro, they sort of need to catch them out the way they caught the Zeus out, and you know, that's in a dream world. They catch both of them out somehow before a fight. Well, obviously, then they're gonna do great. Chances are it's not gonna happen in team fights.
Invoker himself really close to the Octarine, has had his Ags for a while here. He also needs to Midas something for efficiency. Thank you, Baby Knight. And we will be seeing, again, just posturing at this Roshan pick. I mean, even though Invoker doesn't have the largest levels in Exort, I think he... No, whichever team's in the pit feels like they lose against these lineups.
Yeah, I think that makes good sense. Because you have to, like, neither of the teams have a hero that can just go in there and solo the rush, which is the issue. If you have a hero that can solo the rush, it gives you more options. But if you have to all be in there for the gyrocopter or for the Darkseer, pretty scary.
Huh. Oh, they have caught out the Darkseer, and he was deleted from the map. A lot of things dropped on his head. They're trying to find themselves some more. They managed to get the zap out onto Sullen, but he is so fast with that drums. Helping him from his buddy on the Chaos Knight, so gonna get moved out. And Mount, we're doing Roche again. Whether we can finish it, though, the big question of the ages.
Well, this time they will. Darkseer is the actual scary hero when it comes to contesting the rush pit on the Radiant side, so... I'd see Baby Nut try to cause some trouble, but... it's gonna be fine, they'll get the rush.
Yeah.
That's really nice because this Gyrocopter is almost impossible to deal with even without the Aegis, and with the Aegis it really is gonna give them a big advantage forcing fights.
They actually do manage to clip Baby Knight with the end of that dust, and he drops an EMP, just a zoning EMP again, so... But obviously, with the Aegis in the hands of Alternate this game, it's right back down to even in both experience and net worth. We're pretty much just one team fight would swing it over to the other team's favor. So, do you try to get all the towers in this lane with it? What's your play with the Aegis? Because of course Gyrocopter does have that beautiful fresh BKB. You could try for a team fight.
I think that, yeah, I mean, they're pretty comfortable taking a team fight. Again, they're not too thrilled about doing it in the, like... What they're worried about is the position that they approach from as a group. Ultimately, they're going to expose their Zeus to getting initiated on, and they're going to expose themselves to maybe the AoE when they're going for buildings. Like the very ideal situation for Alternate is they get a pick off on the Invoker first. If they were to kill Invoker and they feel like they're completely untouchable, they could just mass down, kill every tower. But the Invoker is just that one hero that's his very existence is scaring them, making them a bit nervous about going for objectives in any kind of forced way just yet.
Well, Beastmaster, minding his own business down in the bottom lane. Maybe gonna think about applying some more push pressure down there. Unfortunately, with the tier 2 already gone, there's not too much Nisha can do.
Yeah, Beastmaster can combine it to Zeus ulti, blinking in Necro Raw can kill just about anything if someone were to come solo this lane. So
I think everything but the Chaos Knight dies to that.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
yeah, that's pretty about right. Alternate are actually pressuring them mid lane, they just put the Gyrocopter in front of the Aegis. I think that's a very intelligent way to do it. Obviously need to be concerned about the wraparound from behind, the Zeus doesn't get picked up, but they get the tower and they've not paid any price just yet.
Yeah, I think it's really nice here to see just kind of the safe siege coming out from Alternate. Obviously, we've talked about it in both previous games, but when you lose a game where you were 25,000 net worth behind, you are very cognizant of letting your opponents take favorable team fights, and especially when Alternate, for the first time in a long time, they're actually ahead a little bit in this game. Gonna be wary.
I expect them to sort of stay ahead again. It's like Zeus and Gyrocopter just have no trouble keeping up farm. Like, it's very easy for them to farm at any part of the map, whether in the jungle, whether in a lane, and Chaos Knights, again, this is just a hero that gets farmed by individually right-clicking creeps, one at a time, and that just takes longer. So even the Beastmaster farms more efficiently and more quickly than the Chaos Knight. This is why we have the breakdown that we have here. The one hero that's maybe a bit surprising again is the Darkseer, whose farm is very much stalled, and isn't a hero that, you know, typically has issues farming the map, but maybe just wanting to leave space for the underfarmed heroes to give them that extra space. And also remember that the Enchantress is taking some extra space itself, which has become a bit of a semi-carry.
Yeah, I think it's almost something... She doesn't have more net worth than the Chaos Knight, but just due to the nature that she can play on the edges of the fight, pound away at people with those impetus hits, she can get a lot of work done here and be deceptively painful, especially since she can kind of attack from out of the fight. So Alternate have to be careful with exactly how they structure these upcoming team fights, as well as the fact that they've managed to set themselves into a position where they only have a minute and a half left on this Aegis. They need to use it or lose it.
Yeah, the thing you have to remember about Enchantress as a carry is that people always talk about like how do they kill the Enchantress, and that's not always the biggest thing. Like Enchantress is weird as a hero because if you're just close to her, her DPS can never be high, and that's like a very awkward thing. Like the hero is just built in such a way that it deals you insane damage from far away, but it's, you know, like let's say that that's the only thing that they had to worry about if Enchantress did all the farm in their team. Like the easy way to deal with it is just literally run up to her in a fight and then, okay, she can't do anything. So I don't think that's too concerning for Team Ultimate.
Well, we have a little bit of an initiation on to Jalopy. He is getting incredibly low, immediately brought down. An Exotic Deer just going to continue to smack away at creeps. The rest of London Conspiracy going to go TP out. And this is kind of throwback to the first series of the day, where kind of both games arguably decided on the cores being caught out of position.
Yeah, and also just the game immediately before this, Jalopy was playing Sven. And really just struggled from the lane stage, later on getting caught out, just his farm could just never catch up, and that was as a Sven. This is as a Chaos Knight, which at least Sven had some inherent ways of like, okay, stack Ancients, go back, farm them. Chaos Knight doesn't have any of those things, so he has to trudge along very slowly, gradually build his way up, and then when he gets picked off, it just like undermines all his hard work, so gotta sympathize with the guy. Like, the one nice thing going for him is that he's not that far from BKB, and that BKB is the last item that he really needs as part of his sort of core build-up to be effective. But at the same time, if the Gyrocopter is as farmed as this Gyrocopter is, then Chaos Knight's just like gonna be undermined in the fights. He's, you know, the bare minimum might not be enough.
You mentioned this when they were shutting down the Chaos Knight repeatedly. Poor Jalopy has 6 deaths to his name, and we talked about how the Zeus at least has a bit of a recovery plan. Jalopy's in trouble. But I do definitely think we've seen it before. You maybe get that extra phantasm. What are they called? We just call them illusions? Are they called? Phantasmal copies. Okay, yeah. So you do, I can say, you get that extra phantasm, and you're good to go. Sometimes that can be what turns around the team fight. You just need that luck on your side. Especially on Chaos Knight.
Yeah, but in this game it's just not going to be the case, because I mean, unless they've dealt with the Zeus and the Gyro, they just have the two biggest cores are really good at dealing with those illusions, and in those cases it doesn't really matter how many illusions you have. It's that the Gyro got a flak off, or that the Zeus spammed a few spells, and even the Earth Spirit is quite helpful in that regard. So I think this game is probably going to stay difficult with Chaos Knights for the foreseeable future. The Blink Dagger pickup on the Darkseer might be a fight-winning pickup. That's something that could change things up. But we haven't seen, I mean, the Invoker from Baby Knight's been really interesting, because this was like their super farmed hero tempo controller from the start of the game, and he's actually built his way all the way back into like the standard Invoker, which is more of the Quas Exort one. There was no point at which he like took his early lead and, you know, kind of got an Orchid, went around with this Ghost Walk trying to make pickoffs. Like, he made a few pickoffs, and then that stage of the game just kind of ended, and he went back to like, okay, Ags, Octree, and Blink, get all the points in Exorts, and I feel like he'll probably start approaching the game as just the typical Invoker does now.
What do you do here, though? I mean, obviously it does feel a bit like maybe Baby Knight could have gone around solo killed people a bit more, but the only people who've been out of position at all, speaking of trying to solo kill, oh, he was so close to hitting Supreme there. That was such a long tornado, but not gonna, oh, actually, manages to jump in with the Colt, and that Primal Roar happens. Supreme trying to run away along with Nisha. A nice Primal Roar to save his life, and I think that'll be the end of things. We got...
They could have chased Zeus, but they didn't, like, Zeus couldn't TP yet. They didn't know that. Maybe they could have chased him if they knew it.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure that because of how poorly the... Chaos Knight. I was like, because of how poorly Chaos Knight was doing, I'm not sure that Baby Knight on the Invoker could have done too much. My brain was having an aneurysm with both of those knights.
Yeah, any party had, like, the safer player party is the play he's done of like just playing yourself more as the carry Invoker, making sure your farm stays up. Invoker's a really strong carry these days. It's not just a tempo controlling hero, and when the other carry in your team's struggling, I mean, we saw what happened last game where the Skywrath and the Sven both weren't able to do any carrying. The Darkseer couldn't do it all alone, so important that the hero that can keep the farm up does keep it up. I agree with that. And actually, we come back to the Enchantress, which early on I was kind of devil's advocating against the Enchantress, but Enchantress might be the one trump card when it comes to dealing with the Gyro.
I mean, she's the real carry now. They've been giving her DDs. Oh, Primal Roar onto Solon. And he is just picked off. The airstrikes are here coming out of Nisha with those bots onto his Hawk.
I think that the Enchantress might be the best route they have for actually killing Gyrocopter ever in fights. You know, if she happens to get max distance, just like spam his impetuses and possibly even get Alacrity, I just think Chaos Knight is gonna match up poorly against the Gyro all game, especially with the Gyro's teammates around. So, but yeah, it's tough to rely on Enchantress because it really like positionally it's quite easy for enemies to just counter it. Just like run at you, make sure that they're close to you, and suddenly your damage really gets turned off.
In mid, poor Jalopy. Okay, he's probably BKBing up next. Is that... Oh, it's done. He's got the BKB. This could be the turnaround for Jalopy. I mean, it's not his fault. It's Alternate did a really good job of constantly shutting him down. Also, they took advantage of the fact that there was an Enchantress in the game, but how do you... He needs so much more. If, let's say Jalopy manages to get 20 minutes of secure farm, what do you build to get back into this thing?
It's actually just a difficult game to be a Chaos Knight, because normally the stuff you're building, like Manta Style and Hearts and maybe Assault Cuirass, it tanks you a lot in terms of your HP, and Zeus is just really good at countering that. It's like you're not getting the full value of what you're paying for as a Chaos Knight if you build your normal items in this game, but I don't think there's like a especially promising different way to build it either. Right now I think with the BKB pickup there might be a window for them. I mean, I guess essentially what you hope for is Gyrocopter wastes Flak Cannon. Oh,
it was just casual murder, don't worry about it. Oh,
yeah, if Gyro wastes Flak Cannon, and then CK goes in with the ulti and the BKB, like...
Wait, where on earth did... I just jumped off... Okay, so I jump off the docks here because I'm like, look, business is happening elsewhere, and surely he won't continue to be that far up, but then he is! And he gets blown up!
Yep, and... kind of feels like, I mean, this game feels like it's sort of a steady creep towards things just getting worse and worse for London Conspiracy. But there's gonna be a test for alternates, as there have been in all of these games, and especially based on the way that the first game went, there's gonna be a test for them in terms of like actually going high ground, actually pushing advantage. I mean, there's still two tier 2s that they've been too nervous to approach, and they've had a considerable lead for quite a while. I'm not just talking about the resource lead, which is considerable, but just like the lead in the game states, and with the Chaos Knight being in the position he's in, I think for quite a long time they've been able to probably go for those tier 2s, but they've been very, very careful about it. And that's probably like the big talking point of the whole series, and the big talking point of this game so far is, you know, alternates and their approach to closing out the game, their failure to do so in game 1, the way they managed to do it in game 2, and you know how they decide to try and do it in this game, whether or not it ends up backfiring or if they succeed again like they did in the previous game.
Definitely, and all throughout this entire series, I've definitely seen Alternate on best form ever, I would say. Right, they're playing very cleanly, none of the kind of tier 2 team overextensions that often lose you the game.
Yeah, very polished player.
I love how every single time, whether they're the ones who pause or not, both teams have been apologizing for the pause. Like,
yeah,
it just cracks me
nice.
up.
It's nice. It's some good mannered Dota 2 play.
Hey, it's nice to see somebody be polite in Dota. So we will see finally the tier 2 tower getting sieged down. Tornado comes out, doesn't hit anybody. Not able to make that connect. Baby Knight tries to just get rid of the creep wave with the deafening blast, but it doesn't matter. Backdoor protection hasn't kicked in.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
And yep, that's a tier 2. Do they go for the next tier 2, or is this that high ground, that mythical high ground that we've been...
It looks like it's Jalopy going with the initiation onto Supreme. He's getting incredibly low. He'll get picked off. There's the cooldown though. They want some more. A big vacuum in the back lines, but Jalopy pops that BKB, not taking much damage from anyone. And now there's going to be a nice little false promise, although they may still lose more. Nisha in the back lines being picked on by Jalopy, who still has the Primal Roar. No, Jalopy's stunned up. Will Exotic Deer bring him down? Yes, he will. BKB's over. They're going for Kefka as well, who is just trying to run them away. Invoker throws out the Tornado, gonna get a pick on the Oracle, but who really cares about him? Nice stun from Solon, gonna stop Exotic Deer from blowing up his face, and it's just gonna be a 2 for 2.
Exotic Deer didn't use BKB in that fight, by the way. I was watching him the whole time, and he got stunned, he got stuck in the Invoker's Ice Wall. He was being spammed by the like they did do the alacrity impetus thing, so clearly they've recognized that that's where the DPS is going to come from. And like in his defense, he didn't really come close to dying ever, but I feel like if he had BKB'd early on, like Lion stunning him twice and getting stuck in the Invoker's Ice Wall, those things don't happen, and maybe he's able to be more mobile and be involved in more kills, and instead of a 2-for-2 trade, they get a better trade. But impressed by Llama Conspiracy, who are recognizing the things they need to do, like the alacrity impetus play, and also that they need to initiate on the Zeus and try and burst him down. Like that entire fight works out totally differently if they don't kill the Zeus at the beginning. Like there's almost no way in which they win a fight without killing Zeus as the fight starts, unless they can do the same to Gyro, but that's just like not actually possible. So
yeah. So exotic deer looking big and deer-like. Not really. Can't really make that name work. Oh, do you think he's calling himself Enchantress? Like, is that what his name is? He's Enchantress?
maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
It feels like just. You know, it feels like one of those names that someone just like, oh, let's think of some arbitrary word combination. That'll be funny. And like, I don't know, you've been a teenager before, right? That's like...
No, I actually skipped that section of my life. Really lucky.
Well, I know when I was a teenager, like, I got it, you know, my first... I think that my first ever nickname in like really old Dota 1 days was like 11, 12 years ago. I think I called myself Dyslexic Lion.
That's not a great name.
Which was like...
Oh,
this was like... I don't know why. It was like, you know, I have like writing... I'm not actually dyslexic. I have like writing problems. But...
Oh, okay, wait. We're having a little bit of a team fight. Exotic Deer has not popped his BKB, but the ult from Zoo is going to pick off Lion. Immediate buyback coming out there. Exotic Deer still has not BKB'd. Has the Satanic as well if he does end up getting a bit low. But of course, being healed up here by Oracle, he should be just fine. He is running towards their faces. He has the Aegis as well. Enchantress not even able to hit him as well because of the evasion. Now there it is, the cooldown. They pick up the Oracle on the backline. Baby Knight getting incredibly low. He immediately buys back. Enchantress as well on a tiny amount of health, but she does get away. Healing Wisp bringing her back up. There it is. Vacuum Wall combo dropped on Exotic Deer. He's getting stunned now. He does, of course, still have the Satanic and the Aegis. He's gonna pop the Aegis. He goes down. Jalopy going in hard onto their team. The Rax is at half health. We'll see what Exotic Deer can do here. He's stuck, though. He does have... You know what? Oh, he used his BKB right before he died. And oh no, Exotic Deer may just end up falling. The uphill misses. The misses from the Butterfly Supreme. Not so lucky. He will just manage to get out.
Yeah, there's a... Like, Exotic Deer still being chased.
He is out.
I want to say those are some exotic plays on the gyrocopter because I in the sense of like different. He used his Satanic immediately before the Aegis ran out, so I couldn't respawn and use it. The BKB shortly before that, and not entirely optimal. I mean, it's still like not the worst thing, and the fight's actually still a pretty big win for his team. The Invoker and the Lion both fought back, I believe, and they still got the base tower. So it's definitely some measurable progress, and it's not like any kind of huge backfire like in game 1 when things started turning around on them. Also got to remember that Llama Conspiracy, the heroes they have, it's just very, very different to that game 1. We don't have the Nature's Prophet pushing all the way, so we don't have the Enigma threatening the big black hole, we don't have the Spectre threatening the inevitability, so there's going to be more confidence about Team Alternates in approaching that high ground and, you know, chipping away slowly but surely.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they didn't go for it, I guess. Okay, we have a Zeus ult coming out. That's a life choice. That's just one of those scouting ults, trying to make sure that they see everything. And, well, with that, we're back into our farming game. I'm a little bit surprised Alternate didn't pop the BKB earlier, as you talked about, but instead, they just have to wait for the next Roshan. I'm not sure when it's up. I missed the timer thing. We'll see. We'll find out in 2 minutes anyway, but... obviously, Alternate have the dire advantage, not to mention map vision very thin on the ground for London Conspiracy.
They've got the dire advantage, they've got the Polish advantage, they've got the having more gold than the enemy team advantage.
Yeah, we haven't touched on that, but again, Alternate, much rougher start this game, but suddenly 15,000 net worth ahead, over 15,000 experience. I don't know. I mean, maybe, as you talked about, maybe this is where London Conspiracy want to be, getting that comeback gold.
Yeah, but it's so difficult. It's like really, really difficult. They got the wrong kind of heroes. They got the wrong kind of heroes to make the comeback, and also the wrong kind of heroes to make use of the comeback. You can see like what they're doing. They've just accepted that the Chaos Knight is never going to catch up. It's just not a hero that does that. It's dropping further and further in the ranks. It's becoming more and more about the Enchantress. Enchantress is going to go for MKB next, and their plan is going to be Alacrity Enchantress, and hopefully that's enough to deal with the
Radiant's
Gyrocopter.
bottom tower is
It
under attack.
probably shouldn't be, but I can certainly see a world in which if the Enchantress is totally untouched and gets to just stand there throwing impetus over impetus, that actually could be something that takes down the Gyro, and if that were to happen, the whole fight could collapse for Team Alternate.
Well, London Conspiracy end up sending the Invoker home to deal with the potential push from Alternate, while Alternate have to send a couple home to deal with all of these Chaos Knight illusions. They will be brought down in short order. Zeus trying to see if he can't catch anybody else out, but...
That's his ulti. Chaos Knight used his ulti.
Yeah.
Look, fair enough. His ulti is not actually that important in a team fight. It's quite easy to get dealt with. He's really not the carry here.
Okay, Baby Knight will manage to catch out Nisha, who's now getting hit by Impetus. This should be a dead Beastmaster, and that's going to end his big old streak and pick themselves up a nice gem for London Conspiracy. Not to mention, of course, big old gold bounty, because they're so far behind.
Yeah, but the tools are all there for Ultimate, I think. I think that their biggest barrier to them closing out this game right now is like a mental barrier. They very definitely should be able to get the next rush, and they very definitely should be able to use that to probably get all of Mega Creep, I want to say.
Is that saying it? Yeah, it's a hella short Roche. Okay.
And by the way, Invoker's buyback is still on cooldown for another 2 minutes, same with Lion, so it's, dangling from a thread actually if you land a Conspiracy. If you were to contest the rush, your Invoker dies, well, maybe they get the rush themselves while Beastmaster's still dead. Maybe this is actually the play they have to make.
I mean, it was an 8-minute Roche. I think you have to go for it. You have to hope that the other team doesn't think it's going to be the minimum spawn time. And it looks like they're trying to smoke up or something. No, Alternate are just posturing here. Oh, they think they do smoke? Okay, yeah, they definitely look like they were positioning for a smoke. Roche is already down to a quarter health. Zeus knows that they're in there. They're going to rock kick on through. Doesn't manage to hit Bambi. The Tornado is wild, but they kill off the Chaos Knight, and now Zeus going to get more. There's the roll in. Gyrocopter's killed Enchantress. Roshan, nobody. Zeus picks it up. They backed out of the pit. Nobody grabbed it on the side of London Conspiracy. True will be up on the high ground thanks to the vacuum, so this should secure an escape of someone. Kefka gets out, but not grabbing the Aegis. Oh, it's a disaster for London Conspiracy, and Solin's gonna fall to... Oh no, that rocket was not made for him. That is a rocket for someone else entirely.
I think he thought it was meant for him as well. It really looked like it was going towards him.
I did too. I thought it was like, and then he was gonna blink. I forgot that of course it's gonna show who it's on, but like, I was like, oh, you're dead. Either way, this should be enough for the push. There is a buyback on the Chaos Knight.
I mean, that's the kind of risk they need to take in the position they're in, but really like, Ultimate come just on time. Lana Conspiracy very clearly panic. Like, the rush is finished, but they panic, they want to get out, and don't even pick up the cheese or Aegis, lose both of those, lose a few heroes, and game is looking hard for them. Game is looking very, very hard for Lana Conspiracy.
Yeah, obviously they need some mistakes to come out of Alternate here. Tornado will catch a couple, but again, that's just some sort of delay tactics. EMP dropped as well. Jalopy does have his... Oh, but look at how easily Zeus bursts him down. We haven't touched on this, but Zeus, of course, someone who scales super well. Even though he has burst damage and you can get BKBs and so on, once those get short, the static field does mad work on your high health heroes.
Boca picks up Boots of Travel level 2, so we might see some of those level 2 travels ganks that we saw in some of the previous games. Maybe Lion or Darkseer runs around with their blink and Invoker TPs them, tries to make pickoffs, but it's difficult. I mean, Alternate don't even need to split up. Like I said, in that game 1 where Lana Conspiracy made that big comeback, involved in Nature's Prophet with the Aghanim Scepter, split pushing the map just by ulting, making Alternate split up, and in this game Alternate can just stay together all the time, and your ability to get a pick off without just taking that team fight is almost non-existent. They can just force Lana Conspiracy to take them head on in a fight, and very difficult for Lana Conspiracy to do anything from that position. Maybe the buybacks help them defend their base. They've got pretty much everyone's buyback now. Not the Enchantress or the Lion, and can be useful in a base defense, definitely, that you're right at your base if you buy back and you can immediately rejoin the fight.
EMP and the Tornado are down. Exotic Deer just gonna poke away at those racks. Baby Knight drops the ice wall, but they don't care about it. Vacuuming Exotic Deer back into the ice wall. He, of course, does not have the Aegis here, so he may want to get healed up a lot. He, okay, pops the BKB, and he's going back in, throws his Satanic out. He no longer cares about your ice wall, and he may just get down the racks here. Just gonna poke away at it. Steph style, trying to start throwing those impetus hits out onto him, but melee Rax is gone, and Alternate backing up to the safety of their base.
Yep, and that's one Rax down, with many more to go.
Many, just
ZKLT.
5.
Yeah. ZKLT is used. It's one of those, I mean, it's nice to have Aegis on Zeus, because there's no plan available to Line Conspiracy to catch out the Zeus, burst him down at the beginning of the fight. But at the same time, it does make it a little bit more scary for the Gyro when he's frontlining there at the beginning.
I do not know where that courier. There we go. Okay, it was just the sweet little pick off from someone in the jungle.
Yeah. Invoker just blinked onto it, finish it off, TP'd out.
Okay, so obviously you're hoping Jalopy maybe comes online one day in a far future in a different galaxy, but you gotta work with what you got. Steph style, MKB, Aghanim Scepter, Dragon Lance. You gotta toss that urn. What are you buying? You working on your Moonshard next?
Yeah, I think a Moonshot would be pretty good. Otherwise there's a Hex, maybe.
Okay, Baby Knight gonna get, well, has some help with the initiation. That crit doing mad work onto L. The cooldown not gonna hit on anyone, thankfully, for those BKBs. Invoker throws out the Deafening Blast. There is still a roll. There's a double roll, actually. And so we will be seeing neither of them. You got us all excited for nothing, Scant. They are just going to successfully back on out on London Conspiracy. The play I think they had to make.
It's almost like a... I wonder if Ultimate like CK used ulti, let's go. It's almost like a bait because CK ulti is so irrelevant that it actually doesn't matter that it's used. I mean, look, they're strong enough to go anyway, regardless. And Zeus is going to use the fact that he has the Aegis and stand in the front lines and spam people down, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's
I'd
terrifying.
like to see...
Okay, we have a little pullback. That false promise is doing mad work. Jalopy taking a lot of damage here. Zeus may just end up finishing him off, but there it is. Primal Roll goes in once, then he goes and uses it on Jalopy on the other side. Cooldown gonna help finish him off, as well as the Magnetize. Even Kefka hit by that, so he can't blink in and get a big old ult off. He does have... Oh, Jalopy bought back there. Standing at the ready, Tornado actually hits onto 3. Zeus in a little bit of a pickle. He is going to get brought down, and goodbye, Supreme. No more Aegis. Rock kick on through. Suddenly, Alternate not looking like they want to fight at all, but Baby Knight jumps forwards, vacuum back onto 2, and it's Steph style, pounding away at people, being the Enchantress she needed to be. And with that, Gem exchanges hands again.
Yeah, they look confused about what they wanted to do. Like, fighting one place, Beastmaster blinks in another place, roars, refreshes, blinks back to the original place, roars, Zeus's Aegis is gone. Like, I don't know, they just looked on different pages to me, Team Alternate, and it's a worrying sign. It's maybe the first worrying sign of the game that London Conspiracy could find a way back in, and mostly up to Team Alternate themselves, because honestly, I feel like with the refresh orb on Beastmaster, it's really not that difficult for you. Summon your Necros, put the Gyro in front, start pushing. If they defend, you roar someone, you kill them, and next person roar them too. Like, there aren't very good reasons for the team to not be on the same page there. So for me, it is a somewhat concerning that they managed to screw that up.
I mean, I think, as you mentioned, there's a lot of mental things going on here. Obviously, this is starting to resemble that first game where Alternate is having some trouble sieging high ground, and they don't want to have Gyrocopter. They wanted to take advantage of how farmed he is, but they may just need to do what they did in that first or that second game where, hey, Gyrocopter, just toss your Sanj and Yasha on the courier, grab the next Aegis on you. Again, another super long game. This is almost an hour long. It feels like all of them today have been super long, and I can imagine that also is some wear on the players.
Every time it's because Team Alternate's just... I mean, and this is the thing, this is why the dynamic keeps building on itself, because the reason all the games have been long is because they struggle to close out a game when they're ahead, and it has like this repeating, building on itself effect where you're nervous to go too soon, because what if they come back, but you're also nervous to wait too long, because what if they come back. Like, either one of those things, you know, the longer you wait, the more opportunities they have to pick you off, to think of new ways to beat you in a fight, but if you go too quickly, then What if we had extended
Okay,
our lead?
we've got to catch out onto Baby Knight. He pops that BKB though, and it's actually L who's going to be in trouble here. But at the same time, Steph Style taking a lot of damage. Oh no, the F-Blade went onto the boar. Supreme, he tried to be so fancy, but instead it's him who will be in trouble. Steph Style just working away at him. They finally bring down Steph Style, and down in the bottom parts of the fight, Kefka, he is going to fall as well. They are still working on Jalopy, but really, it's Jalopy at this point in the game. He will fall too. And luckily, the misclick from Supreme onto the boar, not the end of the world.
But this is also, see, this is the first fight we've seen in quite a while where Enchantress is in the middle of heroes and she just can't do anything. Like, she's just too close to all of the enemies and she dies without achieving anything at all already. And they're almost certainly going to force the Enchantress buyback.
Yeah,
Very
now,
least, if not
Cold
more.
Snap onto Supreme. He also gets hit by that EMP, so suddenly Monolith, but got some decent regen up on him. He might just spam away. Meatball is dropped. Exotic D, of course, doesn't have BKB. He's in that last fight, and again, are alternate really gonna be repelled here? No, Exotic Deer says. He goes up on the high ground, Glyph is popped. He's even thinking about going further behind. Tornado gonna be unable to hit him. He drops a rocket onto the Invoker, dodges out of the EMP, now poking away at the tower again, and they should finally be able to bring this thing down in the bottom lane. Working on that ranged Rax, it's gonna be down soon. Exotic Deer did use his Satanic to heal back up. The Roar not quite there from Nisha. He does have two though, and with that, the ranged racks, they will back on out on alternate.
They actually set off the range racks, and again, I think they can get more there. They could force a buyback or get a melee racks, or maybe even get both. But again, tells you something about where they are. They're nervous. This is a single elimination bracket, game 3. They've already, thrown one game with a gigantic lead. And they want to do things properly. They go back for the rush, and I can totally respect the position that they're in. But again, you just never know which way it goes. You wait too long, sometimes that's the problem just as much as committing too early. And you do see a hex up on the docks here. There's a hex on the Lion obviously as well. So there are opportunities for people getting caught out. I still think the decisive point is the Enchantress. It's like, what position is the Enchantress in a fight? Is she far enough away to do a lot of damage? Is she being burst on herself? If she's too close to people, she's just not going to have that impact, and suddenly the damage output is not there for her team because Chaos Knight is still nowhere to be seen, and Invoker can't do it all alone.
They're going in for the smoke gank. It's going to be this beginning by Solon. Maybe he can catch out Exotic Deer. Not quite. Exotic Deer actually gets fingered there as well, and Supreme, he's going to burn the Aegis, but here it comes, the Satanic. Exotic Deer is being burnt down, and oh no, Supreme, he's going to respawn in the worst place possible. He goes down. Oh, actually, that was Oracle, and now Supreme. They're all just going to get caught out, and suddenly, LC in a place to take a Rax.
It's going to be a bunch of buybacks here, I think.
Yeah, all of them available on alternate. Not a good fight for them again, and this is why a beautiful catch out there by London Conspiracy. We've got all the buybacks out. London Conspiracy going to just back away, realizing that getting buybacks kind of the best that they could hope for, and Beastmaster not knowing where their TPs are. He's just gonna be unable to really poke at the Rax bottom.
I mean, all of a sudden, if they were to do that to the Gyrocopter again, all of a sudden, they could just win the game, or suddenly Rax 2 sides. So, Lana Conspiracy suddenly sensed a little bit of hope at the end of the tunnel, and Chaos Knight's gonna have pretty much a heart now. I mean, not that he's doing well by any means, but it's a pretty big item. They need to respect him. They've got all the tools to deal with him, but they need to actually deal with him. They just also need to not get caught out. This is something that I've been talking about the whole game. They're not splitting up because they don't want to get picked off. So they're mostly close to each other most of the time. But you slip up once, you slip up twice, and that's all you need to do to give the enemy team what they need. So they just need to maintain their discipline to the finish line for another, I don't want to say how long. I don't want to put them on a timer, but they just need to maintain their discipline. And the game is still very definitely in their hands, even with those buybacks expanded.
Yeah, poor Scant, you thought you were getting some reasonably timed European games and no such luck. I believe even for these players, it's probably past midnight. So.
Yeah, it should be. I think there's one time zone in Europe where it's about to be midnight in 10 minutes time, but
yeah, the Brits. The Brits are about to have their midnight, but everybody else, it's already way past midnight for these folks, and yeah, maybe they're used to that type of thing, but I don't think they were expecting this series to all be about 50, 60-minute plus games.
Yeah, it's pretty draining, so definitely the mental stamina being tested of these teams, and maybe that's somewhere where a player like Davy Knight helps out, because he's very experienced in both Dota and StarCraft, like been in esports for a very long time. So he's definitely like him in particular. I don't know about any of the other players in this game, but he in particular has definitely come across these kind of situations before, where you have to slog on and maintain focus for a really long time, and he's probably the one leading his team in these moves.
That's the other thing to really mention, as you said, you have to maintain such focus. A lot of other games, I mean, you can argue that they don't have to be super focused, but at this high level of Dota, they have to be focused for an hour straight. There aren't many other things where you're focused for an hour straight with no breaks in between. Like, actually an hour straight. So, obviously, little mistakes happen, like what we just saw in middle.
It can be truly exhausting. And there might be an attempt on Supreme's life.
An attempt on Supreme's life. Yeah, it's looking like there is a gank attack going down. He does manage to force stuff away, and he'll be on out. He actually F-blades himself. Oh, the Primal Roar! They're actually just using their Refresher to make sure they get it off through the Lincoln Sphere. Baby Knight gonna be going down here to all those creeps. He does have buyback. But of course, maybe not expecting to get caught out there.
And that, I mean, what a luxury when that is the play. When the way you deal with the Invoker Lincoln is you roar him twice. I mean, like, that is the play. That's well done. Incredible. But it's just the position they're in that makes it worthwhile for a fresh orb to be there just to counter the Invoker's Lincolns. And this is surely a buyback that they can force. They need to be a little bit careful, I think, on the side of Team Alternate, because they still have some buybacks coming off cooldown. And if they were to push and force the Invoker's buyback, there's always that concern of, if we get caught and we lose our heroes and we don't have buyback, it wasn't actually worth it to force his buyback. So that's actually why I think they go back, because they just they want the lowest risk option, which is what they've been going for most of the series, especially since that game 1.
Yeah, we are also in danger. I don't think we're long enough yet, but we're getting close to being in danger of particle effects everywhere because of the docks here in the game.
Oh yeah, I think that could happen in the next 10 minutes or so.
But it might have been fixed. Who knows? Maybe it was in the spring cleaning.
Maybe that's like the one thing they actually did fix, and everything else they actually broke more things, and there were like all these bugs coming out. But
I mean, that's how coding works. You fix one thing and then you discover a whole bunch of other crap. Open a can of worms. So but more importantly, we should do a look at some items that have come out, because there is now Lincoln Spheres being thrown on our Gyrocopter, because he's got one. That's what he replaced his Sergeant Yasha with. I was not expecting that, but I guess he is sick of being caught in any way, shape, or form, wants to make sure he can get the BKB off before the Hex jump.
Yeah, it's very good actually. It's very, very good. I think it's look. There's plenty of things for the enemy team to trigger his Lincolns and then hex him. The idea is meant to be that if they're in the time that you see your Lincolns being triggered, you should be able to get your BKB off. But the game has never changed from that situation, where if the Gyro does get his BKB off, his team should be winning the fight, because it's only the Enchantress that does anything to him then.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough, right? You are dealing with what I don't think they ever expected, suddenly an Enchantress who does have a moonshot. This game has gone for long enough. I think I was joking about it at the 50-minute mark when Enchantress is sitting there with like 300 gold to her name. But no, she's got the moonshot up. She's a little bit shy of buyback. So
Still time for her to buy 2 more moonshots. One for that TP scroll, one to eat. Add the alacrity. That could be a machine gun Enchantress.
And that's what you need. I mean, she's like, it would be like a truck machine gun.
Yeah, even just with the alacrity, even before she had the moonshot, there was one fight where I saw her get alacrity and those spears were going really, really quickly. It's at the same time, in contrast, the fight the most noticeable fight, which is the biggest team fight that Alternate won recently in the enemy jungle around this part of the map, was specifically where the Enchantress was just too close to everyone, couldn't do anything, went down without really damaging any of the enemy cores.
Yeah. Invoker is sitting there with 10,000 gold about to be had up on his person. Do you swap something out? He has the Lincolns, obviously it's doing mad work. He has the bots too, he has the blink. Can he afford anything else, or do you just start buying all the wards and sentries for your team?
I don't know, I mean, he probably should buy a Necro 3 on the courier at least, and a Refresher Orb on the courier at least. Like, these are like actual legitimate utility items on the hero. Especially the Refresher. Refresher is like a really good item on Invoker, so I think to have a 7th item Refresher I'm actually a little bit shocked that he hasn't done it yet, because anytime that they have a fight, I mean, he could fly the courier with him, or just anytime they fight at the base, he could have like double BKB, double Lincolns, double whichever spells he wants to use.
Yeah, this is not okay. Primal Roar gonna come out onto Jalopy. They've got it refreshed to do another one. Will they don't throw it on him? No, they're gonna end up being able to hold it, using it onto Kefka. He's going down. Baby Knight's in a lot of trouble here. Enchantress, they're too close to her. She has buyback though. Everybody, it looks like, has buyback, and Baby Knight's just gonna run it on out. And again, as you talked about, these jumps in the forest, exactly where Alternate need to be taking these fights. Will they be able to siege the high ground? Only the Lion without buyback. Oh, but are they going in again?
Like Llama Conspiracy kind of want to actually go in.
Okay, we're gonna have a little bit of a jump in from Supreme. He's immediately hexed up. There's a meatball being dropped by Baby Knight. He manages to throw out the disable onto everyone, but Jalopy there with the BKB starting to pound away on people. He's kind of taken a while to get through Exotic Deer, but he's actually going to beat on through him. He pops a Satanic. He's starting to go. There's also the False Promise onto Exotic Deer. Drops the cooldown. He is smacking away at people. He should be full health when he comes out of this thing. And Nisha trying to work on Steph Style in the backlines. Exotic Deer, though, taking too much damage from Enchantress. Even with the Satanic, the double heal, it's not enough. And now Steph Style, she's working on Nisha. She's forcing him away from her. Jalopy will go down to the help of Zeus and Oracle. Kefka still in the backlines. Tornado going to be unable to hit the Oracle there. And Kefka, he's trying to run away. Will L be able to hit him? No, he has to Glimmer Cape to save his own life. And is that finally the end of things? Enchantress does end up going down. Zeus ulti scouts out Baby Knight, who gets the last hit onto L. Although now suddenly, oh gosh, he's just gonna murder this poor little Oracle. Although with the False Promise, will he be alright? Baby Knight goes down. He does have buyback. They should lose the Oracle because he used the nuke onto Baby Knight. But we're sitting here, 4 still alive. Only buybacks on the Dire side. And Invoker's gonna have to work like anything to stop his base from
did already
taking.
use his buyback, so there's like the smallest amount of risk, which is if somehow the Gyrocopter goes down and Llama Conspiracy live to tell the tale, they might have like a...
Oh, there's the vacuum back. There's gonna be the stun onto Exotic Deer. Where is this man's BKB? He gets fingered. He finally pops the BKB and the Satanic. He's back up to full health, but he was almost brought down. L now jumping in deep onto that Earth Spirit. There's gonna be a cooldown as well. Kefka blinks away though, and this should just be the Rax. Glyph is thrown out. Baby Knight drops the Ice Wall, knowing Exotic Deer no longer has a BKB, but he needs to throw out something else. It's gonna be the Alacrity. He wants to hit away at Exotic Deer. BKB has been popped. Cold Snap gonna be underwhelming. There is still the mid Rax though. All of that just for the bottom lane of Rax.
I'm pretty sure that Exotic Deer had a bit of a heart attack there right before he BKB and Satanic. Nearly died to the combination, the burst damage.
Oh, and the particle effects are happening. There's going to be a Tornado EMP. Nisha jumping onto the backlines. He's going to Primal Roar Kefka. He's trying to poke away at him. The creep's helping him as well. Exotic Deer being saved up by that False Promise. Baby Knight now coming back in. Pops his Lincolns again. Just trying to auto-attack Exotic Deer down, but it doesn't look like it'll be enough. Exotic Deer is just fine. His own illusion poking away at him, but they have saved their tier 3 tower. Live to tell the tale. Chaos Knight almost back up, arguably does stuff, and they might be able to pick off this Oracle here. He is taking quite a bit of damage. The Earthblade to save his life, but they finger him down. Sullen showing no mercy, and still only 2 Raxes down, and in fact, 70-minute mark, where the particle effects show up.
Yeah, and as they started happening, I got disconnected from the game, but I'm on my way back.
Excellent. We have 2 buybacks available in this game. We have... just 6 of the rest on cooldown. One person doesn't have enough gold, but everybody else is great. And I'm just checking that we're like not dropping frames or anything, because we're definitely getting funky particle effects.
Yeah,
at least I am.
And it's just the irrelevant line anyway. It just needs gold.
Oh no, we've got to pick off here again. There's going to be a cooldown. Steph Style, he's taking a lot of damage. They can't lose the Enchantress here. She has no buyback. Baby Knight, he's going to be running away. And we got Phantom Axes. They do manage to pick off Supreme though. He immediately buys back into the game, throws out his ult. There's going to be the Primal Roar onto Jalopy. And oh no, he's fallen. 2 left on London Conspiracy to try and save the day. But that's all they've got. Kefka trying to blink around. Supreme chasing after him. There's going to be the TP in. Is the Primal Roar is at the ready. He's going on deep, but Nisha unable to reach. We lose the tower, but not whatever this Cone of Light is in the mid lane. And that will be Megas.
Yeah, there should be no way at this point for Llama Conspiracy. Like, alternative.
has fallen.
I don't know.
We'll
been
see
very
if they
careful.
can do anything here. There is a nice vacuum wall coming out. Baby Knight using that BKB. Doesn't matter if he stands in the cooldown. Kefka, I believe he's silenced up here. There's going to be a nice deafening blast, but it's not enough. And the Primal Roar helping to bring him down. Baby Knight trying to play around this, dropping an Ice Ball, but that is it. GG. Good,
It's
guys.
a sign of maturity as a team that Alternate are able to be so careful and disciplined and methodical, but at the same time, they need to still work on like how they are disciplined and methodical. Because I feel like in some of these games, like as much as not, they risk losing themselves games where from like sort of sure win positions just as much as they do guarantee the win by taking their time. And taking your time is not just about like literally taking time. It's about knowing when to go, when not to go, and I mean. It's still really a sign of maturity as a team, but I think they need to go that one step further in their progression to get to that next level where they can judge like, okay, now's the time, this is the window, now's too early, now's too late. But still, I'm impressed. They got through 3 extremely long games. They did take the series, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, also really impressive by Advenim earlier today, as you said, feels like a world away, I believe. Yeah, we've been casting for 8 hours. You know, they also did an upset, so both of the games today, I would say, considered to be upsets, the underdog winning. Congratulations to both Advenim and Alternate, who will continue on in the BTS EU series. And once again, thank you, Scant, for joining me. Let's do the little outro there. I'm Llama Down Under. I've been joined by Scant, so we can be found by those names on Twitter, and we'd love any and all feedback on how to make the casting more enjoyable for you. I'm going to leave the score up for a few minutes, and that's about it here, folks. I believe we're done with BTS EU for now. There is going to be C starting back up again in a few hours at this point. So I hope you all enjoy that, and we'll see you next time. Any final thoughts before we shut it down, Scant?
No, I'm really hungry and tired.
You go do your stuff.
Podcast.
Thank you for joining me, even though it's super late o'clock your time, and we'll see you again next time. Peace out, everyone.